Meanwhile, in the Vermilion sector...
I thought I was going to play the
Again with that Batman
89 theme
theme
for a second.
I feel like we've had that multiple times where it feels like they're about to go into the Batman theme. Like, shoot, were they trading notes with Square Enix's team while they were working on Final Fantasy XIII 2 soundtrack?
Distress call with Clank's signature. Aphelion,
Oh.
can you track the source?
The origin appears to be Planetopedia. Acquiring coordinates now.
Ah yes, the planet of vaping, of course.
Is that why her voice suddenly sounded like she was doing some stuff?
Yeah, it's time to deal with the remaining Valkyries. It was obviously a trap by them. So, round 2 instead with Karina.
This is saying this is as far as you go in a slightly threatening way. You think you are Birdo?
Yeah, I knew you.
Yeah, I've been playing. I've played Super Mario Advance, and the amount of times I've come across Birdo when she said that.
She was trying, God bless her heart.
I mean, it was a dream anyway, so who cares?
You know, it was a dream, and yet later on she's Yoshi's partner at the Olympics, so what's
again,
up with that?
well, similar to other the enemies, like the Shy Guys, the idea of is that Mario dreamt about that, but he was using templates based on things that he knew.
So Mario dreamed about a trans dinosaur trying to kill him. Yeah,
and a bunch of masked villains.
Aphelion, give me a status update on Clank's transmission.
The coordinates appear to be accurate, but the signal has weakened by 72.3%.
That means Clank's in trouble. Hold on, pal. I'm coming.
Anyway, we're on the vaping planet. It's all windy, so lots of scattered islands we need to navigate through.
Oh god, the atmosphere even looks hazy too.
420 blaze it.
Classic smash and grab.
Infiltrate the Citadel. Alright guys, let's get to the Citadel and make sure Immortan Joe doesn't. Oh, sorry, don't get it.
You know,
it's a bit too lush and fertile.
I'll consider doing the Mad Max. Oh god, too edgy for you, Armor. I'll need to think about the Mad Max video game at one point. Anyway, new weapon in stock, the Magnet Launcher.
The Magnet Launcher is ideal for incapacitating large enemies on the battlefield. Just fire a magnet at an enemy. The ionized orbs will imprison the poor goon in a...
Anyway, this is a simple electric trap that you basically shoot to the enemy and it envelops them with a, with an electric web. It can work on bosses, but it stuns them very briefly. So it's your basically small chance for recovery.
At least it lets you stun them. In most games, this would be the equivalent of you can't use guns on bosses.
Well, it depends. Again, it's more of a case where a lot of RPGs, a lot of RPGs have this nasty tendency of having bosses being immune to most, if not all, debuffs, and that's always been a bit of a pain in the ass, admittedly.
Super speed.
I mean, Ratchet is not the kind of guy that will say gotta go faster, but will still have a bit of idiocy in enjoying the thrill.
I could legit see him unironically saying gotta go fast though.
Now remember, again, you have to use the calibration mentality of that Sonic had in Rise of Lyric, the kind of build for speed, Ratchet is a bit more
red button and all that.
Ratchet is a bit more serious than that. I wouldn't even say Knuckles, because Knuckles compensates the other side and is being still too serious despite being an idiot. So
I'd say Ratchet's that kind of nerd who sees himself as too serious for that, but would slip into doing that. I mean, he is still full of some of those corny one-liners and being a hero of the ages.
Yeah, because of the different islands, these can get a bit mazy, but nothing too particularly, stressful. So, and again, your minimap usually tells you where you're supposed to go. There you go. One down, one to go. Basically, we need to open that up, to unlock the oil that we need to, to crank that up. There you go, there's the other one. Oh shit. So almost completely leveled up the disc launcher. It's a bit better than the previous incarnations, but still nothing too particularly, mind-breaking. Now, there are, as per tradition, there are, different tiers of weapons according to, the fans of what, they believe to be better or worse. There's a particular example for a weapon we haven't acquired yet, but I'll tell you when it shows up. Alright, let's get some oil.
Welcome back. That bolt wasn't the only thing starting to rust.
I was trying to see if there was, potentially an extra, section if you aimed in a different direction, but no.
Exploration can only take you so far.
And well, to be fair, there you go, there's a titanium bolt there. You just need to use the swing shot. Oh, sorry, it's a gold bolt. I keep forgetting the material we change with each game. Couldn't have stayed consistent.
I mean, okay, yeah, some terminology I get changing, but I do find it funny that they swapped out titanium bolts for gold bolts. That would be like if...
Remember, there were also the platinum ones. I get the idea of wanting them to change with each game, in order to maybe have the idea of, in order to understand why they're different again, but I don't know. Considering in a lot of games you explore different parts of the universe, I could understand, especially if it can make me understand that, it's just the same type of collectible in this place. Anyway, here are the regular Valkyries, and man, they sure are equipped.
Yes.
Ow. Oh, you know what they say, pig pies saves lives, but not really in this case.
Of course, they got wings and jetpacks for better mobility.
Again, as it will be mentioned in the Sonic Museum, the team wanted to have, in a lot of places, the cheesiness of a sci-fi B-movie from the 50s, 60s, and I can see that, Yargonian technology, Nefarious on troops, and this. This one actually reminds me that famous Lost in Space series episode, the original series.
With the Valkyrie.
With the Valkyrie. I know, Again, to be fair, Star Trek was having this shit also almost every single day, especially a bit more in the animated series and in the comics, like when the time when they had to confront the devil, but the animated series goes wild. If I recall correctly, it was handled by Funimation before they did He-Man, but it's still very wild, what they did, because the idea behind it, Dweebs, is that they had the advantage of animation, meaning that they were not bound by, constraints of reality and could actually draw aliens that actually had alien features, instead of having to be relying on a gas cloud or, people in puppet costumes, The downside is that, unfortunately, because they were bound at the time, the cheesiness of the writing led to very weird stuff happening, and especially with the in order to save animation costs by having stuff like, immense, extreme close-ups of the faces of the characters.
It gave us special things like that meme of Kirk covering his mouth.
Yeah, among other things.
Hey kids, what's one of the easiest ways to animate a character talking? Cover their face!
As we saw in the Battlefield HD, the Battleship HD video game adaptation. Also, Dweebs, for a cherry on top, there was one episode where they actually had to deal with magic, actual magic, and Spock said when it was logical. Like,
Okay, to be fair, Star Trek's that kind of series that would totally work that way to make magic out to be illogical as some form of science.
and here's the last Valkyrie.
Come to rescue your little friend.
Our quarrel isn't with you, Cassiopeia. Hand over Clank and we'll cause no more trouble.
Cause no more trouble, huh? Karina and Libra are dead thanks to you. And now that we've gotten what we need from the caretaker, his time has come.
To be fair, we only had to kill them out of self-defense.
It's a conundrum similar to what Devil and Popola face in the climax of Nier, you know. They start with the whole duty, but after one goes down, the other goes berserk, you know, because you kill the other.
Although, ironically, she doesn't seem too broken up about the fact that we killed her sister.
Because we're a spirit warrior, because Valkyries and stuff. Also, lots of cetaceans, you know, flying in the air.
So, who created the Valkyries, I do wonder.
Okay, there was not on the TJ Fix, but I think one of the radio chatter does mention that, you know, it was just a species of aliens, just, you know, about nature a bit similar to how Transformers would be, you know, that live
Which is
near,
funny.
Would live near the star that went supernova. And according to that lore tidbit, the Valkyries actually were accidentally the cause of that, so they were the architect of their own demise.
Go figure. It's only mentioned Transformers. Some iterations have actually gone on record to say that, you know, in some cases their creators were the Quintessons. Other versions have said that, no, that was just the Allspark, and nowadays we usually go with the whole Primus and Unicron brothers thing.
Yeah, I can't...
Primus is basically the origin of them.
I can't really imagine, you know, the whole origin with the Quintessons, considering how much asshole they are.
Yeah.
Accidentally, this is also partially how I discovered that apparently Eric Idle is in the Transformers animated movie. Weird.
Oh yes, the Transformers animated movie, aka the 80s toy destruction disaster, but I digress. The movie definitely had quite its fair share of a star-studded cast, and yes, you are indeed learning that Eric Idle is part of Transformers history.
Like, it's pretty clear that they had a lot of celebrities in order to, as usual, put a name on the poster, like having Frank Welker being replaced by Leonard Nimoy in the moment Megatron digivolves into Galvatron. Although from what I
Only
understand...
to basically have Frank Welker
yeah,
come back for season 3.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was because plans went sideways or something, like, oh god. Transformers Gen 1 can basically be summed up as, things were fine until the movie happened, then season 3 was a mess which we had to course correct hard on.
Pretty much.
Like, okay, like, the Transformers movie is fascinating. It's, in a lot of ways, considered to be a classic, and one that gets referenced a lot by the series. But when you actually look at the context behind its existence, it's kind of insane how that movie was basically made to shuffle out the majority of the iconic cast of Autobots mostly, since technically no Decepticons except Starscream.
Yeah, they killed my man Starscream, Jova. How dare you ignore him?
Oh, no, Tio, he's my favorite too. I hated that too, but technically Starscream kinda survives since he eventually got the deluxe treatment of having that weird spark of his that can actually go to other bodies and whatnot.
Which
to the point where he...
a ghost.
Which is funny, which made it so that while he technically died at first, he was one of the few original characters who survived to the point of Beast Wars. Go figure. But yeah, no, like, the Transformers movie is basically a giant business decision to shuffle out a lot of the iconic characters. Why? Because it was a show that lived and breathed to sell toys. At first, anyway.
Basically. And apparently the reception is actually what shaped instead the G.I. Joe movies for Hasbro to say, yeah, let's not do that again.
Yeah, like, the backlash against them killing Optimus was so bad that not only did they bring back Optimus, but this was essentially the thing that made it so that Optimus could die, but he would need to come back in at least spectacular fashion. It's also what made Optimus the more stoic and proud leader, as opposed to, well, kind of being a goofball that he was in the first 2 seasons. Can't go too much into detail because there's a lot, but someday, rest assured, we will cover Transformers Gen 1. Now, if we'll also tackle Headmasters, aka Japan's take on how they would do Season 4, god, that was also wild. That's up for debate.
Anyway, this particular trap from Cassiopeia tends to have neurotoxin, because Portal was a thing at the time, again. So, so you need to deactivate them before you die.
Part of the Valkyrie training course, which no man has ever succeeded.
Yeah,
Allow us to be the first.
Well, Ratchet's not man, he's a Lombax.
You know very well
male.
what they mean.
Yeah, male. Besides Dwibs, if we're going by that logic, that would mean that we would actually have to showcase a human in this series, which we haven't yet so far.
Again, as a reminder, despite the appearance, Quark is still not considerable human. 3 fingers, you know.
Maybe he lost those fingers defending the galaxy.
Don't you see,
Thank
Dwibs,
goodness he's not.
Don't you see, Dwibs, it's like in Kirby, the Earth was destroyed a long time ago. Thankfully they never did that weird stuff. It would have been very jarring if not in this franchise. Very operate on Star Wars logic of, you know, a long time ago in a galaxy far away.
So that's why Kirby looks so angry in the American box arts. The world was destroyed and he's pissed.
I mean, it's
mean,
technically a better motivation than the headcanon, you know, terminal montage gives him.
Goodness gracious.
I'd
ask what Terminal Montage was thinking, but it's Terminal
injecting
Montage.
his own ideals because he's also a religious person on his own.
Dare I ask what the idea was?
Basically a Christian preacher lives. I know it sounds very weird, but trust me, he makes it work in context without, you know, sounding too pandering, believe it or not. But there's, just to give an example, there's this weird sequence with his video parody of Crystal Shards, aka KB64. One of the planets is desert themed, and if I has a pyramid. And this prompts Kirby to have a Vietnam flashbacks of the horror induced by the Egyptians to the Hebrew, which is actually informed in footage of the Prince of Egypt being, you know, over impressed, which prompts Kirby to actually destroy the pyramid in revenge.
I mean, when you think about it, we never truly do know what Kirby is thinking, so maybe that did go through his mind.
It's interesting because normally us Europeans just generally take the American box art of things
Not always.
and have done with it, but not in Kirby's case. We generally keep Kirby the very happy-go-lucky chum that he is on the Japanese covers. And to my recollection, they haven't really had pissed Kirby in a while anyway, I think.
I don't think
Okay, this
so.
Kirby I think was mainly a thing of the 90s, where it basically...
Oh
and
no,
mind you-
Drova, even on stuff like the Nintendo DS game was still a thing.
Oh, I guess it did last into the
Like
2000s,
Squeak
which
Squad.
hey, you know what, to be fair, we all know the rule with the 90s, they technically started in the late 80s and ended only in, like, the early 2000s, basically.
Also, there's
Just typing it in now. When did the American Kirby box art stop having Kirby be angry?
it also depends with the situation. Sometimes we do keep the same as the American ones for convenience. sometimes actually instead we keep the Japanese one for convenience. Again, for example, the Final Fantasy one up until 15, which instead had the more minimalistic, white, background with just the logo on the title, the Yoshitaka Amano stuff. Or for example, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which had the gorgeous painting. But sometimes we just do our own thing, which if I recall correctly was the case with Project Zero / Fatal Frame games, unfortunately. So
it was also the case with Ace Attorney when you guys made that very weird, lame cover for the first game.
Oh,
it's
the one
just
with
as
the portraits?
Phoenix in a white void. No. The one with the portraits, that's, I believe that was the original Japanese one. No, the one Europe got was just Phoenix in a white void standing, whereas in America, we got this awesome, cool, customized art and everything with Phoenix against a looming edge war of having to defend person put in jail and all that.
And then in the second game onwards, we just kind of gave up on that. It's like remember that's the thing. Europe Capcom box art in general was pretty weird around the mid 2000s, like early to mid 2000s. Remember, a lot of the Mega Man games that released around that time had this weird god awful thing where it's just a static picture of Mega Man in front of a coloured background with a comic book flashy thing on it.
It's also weird because for the NES games, the European box art was still bad, but a different flavor of bad box art to North America Mega Man. It was a bit more accurate because Mega Man had his proper Mega Buster arm instead of actually holding a gun, but it was a bit too lanky.
Didn't you guys get like Wily Wars, which at the time I believe was kind of European exclusive?
So.
Yeah, we did. Although
and that had that weird box art of that weird, realistic, psychedelic-looking Dr. Wily looming in the background.
Although, yeah, because technically, Joe, America got Mega Man The Wily Wars, but only on the Sega channel.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. Basically the equivalent of online gaming at the time. Wrap your head around that.
Which, I mean, to be honest, I've played some of Wily Wars. Ignoring my lack of skill at playing 2D Mega Man, I don't think you're really missing much, and I'm really not a fan of the music arrangements.
Alright, the final boss fight against Cassiopeia.
Especially when they use that sound font that you hear in the Sonic 3 special stages. They use that ad nauseum. It's really annoying, actually.
Oh, how poetic we're literally on top of the structure.
She really felt the need to dump all that onto Ratchet before killing him.
Huh? I guess Nefarious just gave it to the Valkyries. Especially because the first time I played this, I was thinking, okay, Clank is actually not there because, it wouldn't make too much sense for them to actually have him as an hostage and just, fucking around with Ratchet. But surprisingly, no, I guess Nefarious really doesn't have any more needs for him. Especially because we go through Clank and Sigmund being, dazed by the device of gratuitous immobilization, as Nefarious called it, to Clank being transported here. We kind of missed a scene where that happens. I know because we switched point of view with Ratchet, but I argue it felt a bit odd, possibly rushed nature because we are approaching, not immediately, but we're approaching a bit the end game.
Also, keep in mind that, for a lot of the game, Nefarious was trying to capture Clank, and, well, unless he's already tapped all he needs out of Clank,
apparently so, he just needed, a route towards the Opus Chamber, that's it.
Kind of, yeah, that feels pretty mundane. I get it, we gotta...
We will properly learn the motivation, I think, in the next part.
Again, one thing I have noticed is that even with, the best ones, Ratchet and Clank games have always at some point had a little bit of weird pacing where it feels like you're breezing through them. Suddenly, the story feels like it's done a massive skip to suddenly progressing to the end. it could just be quirky like that, and you know they could just be focusing mostly on the gameplay first. And yes,
the last of the Valkyries is dead.
Hey, perfect. We broke Clank free too.
Yeah, we kind of need to get him.
Clank! Wake up!
Wow, is that easy?
It's about hearing the voice of his friend and all. So yes, I'm happy to report. Well, as soon as they can actually, land safely. After all this time, Ratchet and Clank are finally reunited.
Hooray!
And there was much rejoicing.
Hey, pal. How you doing?
Fine. You?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I just gonna lie here.
And then Ratchet died.
Due to heart failure.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, imagine that. After that big epic journey you've been on, and all the danger you've encountered, the thing that does you in is your own heart.
But there you go, guys. Nefarious has killed Clank's father. Now it's personal.
Support of the Lombax Praetorian Guard. The clock will be in good hands.
You do not understand. Time cannot be changed. Using the clock improperly could rip the very fabric of existence.
Or it could save an entire race of Lombaxes.
Yeah, Asimov is clearly not in the mood for listening.
Remember the Dimensionator. Some risks are not worth taking.
Well, maybe Clank's right. If there's even a chance it could destroy the universe, the risk is just too great.
Risk? Risk is what makes us who we are. Ratchet, our kind is lost without us. Think of how many that clock can save. Think of your parents.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry Asimov, I don't know what you're expecting because Ratchet has really no emotional connection to his parents.
So, you coming,
Oops.
General?
I mean, there's only so much the...
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Do we ever see him again?
Well, you'll be able to see. Now, the cool thing is that now with them reunited, outside of your usual mobility options, you can also have Clank throw a time bomb. So, on top of your arsenal, your best reward is that you can literally slow down time in a specifically located area. That's actually pretty cool as a reward. You don't get to shift towards Clank's style using the Chrono Scepter, however, unless you actually are in a section of the Great Clock, but alas, what can you do?
Yeah, you know, that does make sense, since, you know, it's not like you can just shrink all the powers of the Great Clock down to a watch or something. Or could we?
Well, not sure if it's worth finding out. Anyway, tune in for the next part where we actually, properly schedule our assault towards Nefarious Station. See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.